another episode of Edu 222 Test and Measurement. Edu 222 Test and Measurement. And last episode we talked about the concept of test, assessment, evaluation, and measurement. We talked about that, and I hope we gain a lot. Now today we want to talk about is another episode where we'll be talking about educational objectives. The educational objectives. And we're talking about educational objectives. As the word has said, educational objectives. It's just talking about the aims of an educational program. It's talking about the statement of intended outcome after the end of an educational program. It's talking about what is to be achieved after the educational program. Now, if I will come to our level as teachers in training, you know, when you're writing your logbook, there is this thing that we used to write, that the aims and objective of the class. That is, at the end of this lecture, a student must be able to know the meaning of something, must be able to identify and must be able to do all this. Now, yes, that is an educational objectives too. But the educational objective is just talking about the whole program on its own. The objectives, you know, when the purpose of the thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. That is, there has to be the purpose. There has to be a purpose why we are into this program. Even the teachers and the learners must be able to know the purpose of why they are in class. The student must be able to know, okay, this is what we are aiming at. Okay, at the end of this lecture, I must be able to define cell. Okay, I must be able to tell the types of cells that we have, the categories and various kind of things. I must be able to know it. That is where we can see learning has also taken place. Because you can't say you want to teach someone and the person does not even know the goal at which we are driving at. And that is the educational objectives. You can just jot it down that it is the aim of an educational program. The aim of an educational program. And another thing is the statement. The statement of an intended outcome at the end of an educational program. I hope you are clear with that. That is, the educational objectives are the aims, the goals, what we are driving out, what is driving us, what we are seeing. Okay, this is what I want to achieve after this program. And after that, these educational objectives can be classified into 3 domains. We call them either classification of educational objectives or taxonomy of educational objectives. We have 3 domains under this classification. Classification of educational objectives, EO. Classification of educational objectives. We have 3 domains. The first one is the cognitive domain, and the second one is the affective domain, and the third one is the psychomotor domain. Now let's explain this one after the other. Now I said educational objectives, what is to be achieved at the end of an educational program. Now these are everything that is to be achieved is classified under these 3 domains: the cognitive, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. Now let's take it one after the other. Now the cognitive domain, it is concerned with knowledge activities. That is the ability of students to be able to reason, to be able to do critical reasoning on the information that is being passed by the teacher. That is, it is talking about the intellectual ability, how they can how skillful the students are. That at the end of an educational program, students must be able to reason even beyond what the teacher has actually dished out to them, and that is the cognitive domain. That's the cognitive domain. And this cognitive domain too is actually splitted. It is basically into like 3 categories. We have 3 categories under this cognitive domain. We have the knowledge, we have understanding, the knowledge, understanding, and the third one is thinking. Now there is an educational psychologist which is called B.S. Bloom. He actually divided this cognitive domain into 6 categories. Now basically there are 3, but there is this man B.S. Bloom, Benjamin Samuel Bloom. He's an American educational psychologist, and he divided this cognitive domain into 6 categories. Now under this thinking, he actually splitted this thinking into 4 again. So making 6, splitted it into 4. And the first one we have is application. The second one we have analysis. The third one we have synthesis. And the last one we have evaluation. And let me come again. There are 3 categories under cognitive domain. There are basically 3 categories under cognitive domain. But there is an educational psychologist named Benjamin Samuel Bloom, B.S. Bloom. He actually divided these categories into 6. And the 6 are knowledge, understanding, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. That is, under this cognitive domain, that is how you can use your intellectual abilities and skills, how you can critically reason on what has been dished out, on the kind of information the teacher has actually been passed to the student. These categories has to take place. Now let's take it one by one. The knowledge. It is just the ability of learners to be able to know, to be able to comprehend what has been taught. Now, understanding is just talking about is the ability of students of the learners to be able to grasp the critical meanings of some terms that is being taught to them, that is being dished out to them. That is understanding. And now the third one, which is application. Now it is very, very crucial. A student must be able to apply what he has been taught to his natural environment, to his immediate environment. And now the next one is the analysis. Analysis just simply means what? Now let me give you an example. Now a teacher taught what is a noun. A noun. And noun is just the name of any person, animal, place, or thing. Now the student must be able to analyze what a noun is. That okay, now a noun is the name of a person. First line. A noun is the name of an animal. Another line. A noun is the name of a place. Another noun. And another line. A noun is the name of what? Of a thing. That is what analysis. Breaking down something that is complex into what? Into a simpler component. Into a simpler constituent. That is what analysis. So it is just the ability of students to be able to break down what has been taught into simpler constituents. That is analysis. Now let's talk about synthesis. Synthesis is just the opposite of analysis. It's just the opposite of analysis. When you're able to derive complex words, to derive complex thinking out of the simple thing that has been given unto you. Now, in a class where you are being taught about cell, that the mitochondrion is the powers of a cell. Now, in a particular exam, a teacher might just ask, mitochondrion as the powers of the cell. Discuss. Now you have to synthesize. You have to bring out complex things out of what the teacher has actually taught you. Now, it is an educational objective because at the end of the program, at the end of the program or at the end of the lecture, students must be able to do this based on the methodology the teacher has actually used to teach them. The teachers must be able to what? Must be able to dish out, must be able to tell them what is to be done. Now, let's talk about evaluation. We talk about evaluation. That is, it is very, very, very broad. Evaluation is just about checking what? Evaluating and checking, diagnosing all what has been taught. Now, let's move on to what? To affective domain. Affective domain is just talking about the psychological characteristics like attitude, like interest, like thinking, and all sorts. In one sense, affective domain. Now, there are a set of students now. They need. Let me say there are 5 students. They 4 of them perform well, and 1 does not perform well. Now, it is compulsory and it is mandatory for the teacher to look at what is happening to this student that is not performing well. At least I taught every one of them together. Now, what is happening to these children? It might have been suffering from a kind of emotional disconnection. Must have been suffering from one kind of emotions or the other, maybe from home or from family. So the affective domain should actually check that. It is not only enough for teachers to come to class and just dish out information, but it is also enough for teachers to also check the affective domain of the teaching, the psychological interest and psychological characteristics of the student. That is what the affective domain. Now let's talk about the psychomotor. Psychomotor domain is just talking about the physical, how students can actually use their manipulate skills on their own. Now, a teacher has actually come to the class and taught them about chemistry. He taught them the theoretical aspect. Now, a teacher should be able to bring all these students into to make them practice what they are doing. Now, they taught them make sure your environment is always clean. Students must be able to apply that when they get outside. That okay, after finish eating, after finish drinking, I should not drop my nylon on the floor. I should not drop all this on the floor. I should keep my environment clean. That is the psychomotor domain. So these are the classification of all the educational objectives. Let's move to, there's another subtopic that we have to learn, that is the instructional objectives. Let's quickly rush through that. Instructional objectives. An instructional objectives is just, let me say, it is an intended outcome of a period of instruction. Now, an educational objectives will actually cover the whole course, biology on its own. But an instructional objective will only cover topics. It's talking about the objectives on each instructions, on each topic. Okay, on cell, on evolution, on hereditary, on genetics. We only cover that. That is the instructional objectives. And these instructional objectives are split into 2. We have the general and specific. Specific, also known as behavioral. The general objectives and specific objectives. This general objectives is just talking about that students must be able to know common terms, must be able to comprehend, and must be able to explain vividly all explanation, all definition, must be able to explain all those things. And the specific is just talking about, there are some verbs that are used there. It's talking about, I named it might, ECNS. This is talking about mention. It's talking about identify. It's talking about label. Describe. Explain. Classify, narrate, and simplify. Now, at the end of each topic, student must be able to undergo all these things. Student must be able to undergo all these things. Must be able to mention 5 types of noun. We have the proper noun and all sorts. Must be able to mention them. Now, in the sentence, in this following sentence, identify the noun in the sentence. That is what? Identification. Student must be able to what? To identify. Must be able to label. They must be able to describe. What type of noun is this? Okay, love. What type of noun is love? That is the abstract noun. Must be able to what? Describe. Must be able to explain, classify, narrate, and simplify. Now let's quickly rush through the last one. Importance of educational objectives. Now I told us something before that when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. One of the importance of educational objectives is the importance of educational objectives. And first thing is that it makes learners to know if, learners and teachers to know if the educational objectives has actually failed or it is a success for them. It makes them to know the weaknesses, the loopholes in their educational programs. Another thing is that it makes even the learners themselves to be able to know that if they have actually attained knowledge or not. We've come to the end of today's episode where we talked about educational objectives and instructional objectives. I hope you like and subscribe to this channel. I'm Ifeoluwa once again, and this is Fountain TV. Thank you very much.